You know, I guess it's up to you what a bite size is. Hi, I'm Kate Young and this is Earth Eats, and today we're going to make panzanella. This is an Italian salad that has, summer tomatoes, basil, and bread. Start with some garden fresh tomatoes, Indiana homegrown, and you just want to cut these into bite-sized pieces. You definitely want a very ripe tomato. Do not do an underripe or slightly green one. Pick some up from your farmer's market or from your own garden. Usually this time of year, people are overrun with garden fresh tomatoes. You're gonna want to do about 2 pounds of tomatoes. You're just really highlighting the freshness of the tomato and just all that flavor that you get from something that's vine ripened and hasn't traveled for 2,000 miles to get to your plate. All right, so we're gonna put the tomatoes in there, sprinkle some salt over it, and then some herbs. And you could use oregano, you can use, I'm gonna use thyme, and I'm basically just getting the leaves off the stem. Fresh herbs can be a little bit more tedious to work with than dried herbs, but in something like this, you really want to have fresh herbs. You do not want to put a dry oregano or something in here. It's just not going to have the same fresh flavor. And then we're going to add a little bit of sweet onion. You could use a red onion in this too. You want something kind of sweet that you're going to be okay with eating raw. And not a lot, like I'm just going to use a half an onion here. You don't want the onion to overpower everything else. And then we'll do some vinegar. Just a tablespoon of a red wine vinegar to this. And toss that. So we've got the salt, tomatoes, some fresh herbs, and a little bit of red wine vinegar in there. We're just gonna let that sit for the moment. Okay, so now we're gonna mix a bit of a dressing. So we're gonna do another tablespoon of this red wine vinegar, a little bit of Dijon mustard, just a half a teaspoon or so. I think I put all of the salt in there, but you would want to put some of the salt in there and some of the salt in this dressing, but I think it's gonna be fine. It's all gonna get mixed together. And we're gonna add a little bit of black pepper. Just kind of mix that up. And then we've got the olive oil that we're gonna add. This is 4 tablespoons. Just wanna add that slowly and mix it into the dressing so you can get that emulsification that you want. If you just dump it in there, it might not mix in fully. So if you do it in this steady stream, it allows it to mix and stay mixed. So there's our simple dressing. And now we're gonna chop up a little bit of this parsley. Then we're gonna add some cucumbers, and we're gonna tear up some mozzarella. This is just gonna add a nice richness to the salad. I also like that color contrast. That white against the red is really nice. And the deep green of the parsley. And then we're gonna add our cubed bread. It's just a French bread or a ciabatta or a baguette, whatever you prefer, and you toss it in a little bit of olive oil and salt and toast it. You want it to absorb the juices from the salad, but you don't want it to just turn to mush. And then at this point, we're gonna add a little bit of basil. Again, just tearing it. And you could put in a lot more than that if you want. Just depends on how much you like basil. And then we're just gonna pour over this dressing that we made, and it looks like it is holding together pretty well. Toss it. And that is it. That is your panzanella. Now this is gonna taste better when it sits for a little bit. Just kind of let it sit and marinate for a good 20 minutes or so, and it's gonna be great. You don't, again, want it to sit too long because you don't want that crunch of that bread to get too soft, but just enough to kind of absorb the juices of the tomato and that wonderful dressing that we made. Try to get a little bit of everything in a bite. That's nice. It's not too acidic. The vinegar, I think, is just about right. But it's wonderful. It's got that fresh summer feeling to it. Really bright flavors, and then the crunch of the bread, the creaminess of the mozzarella. Was a great salad. Thanks so much for joining us today for this panzanella salad recipe. I'm Kate Young. This is Earth Eats. If you enjoyed this, please share this with your friends. And be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the platforms @Earth Eats.